Hey guys, my name is Harry Karanassos from the Foundry of Ideas. This video is part of a video series on woodworking projects and tools, and hopefully these videos will make it easier for you to find exactly what you're looking for. Now I have two jigs to present to you. One of them is excellent. Unfortunately, the other one has got some problems. I shall start with the one that has the problems, and this is the jig I'm talking about. It is a self-centering doweling jig with a very rudimentary set of instructions, which I would say border to being poor. The jig comes with these two bushings. However, it includes another two sets of bushings here of different dimensions. Let me get a board because I will need to use the board to better demonstrate to you the jig. The idea behind this jig is very good. The theoretical design is very good. Let me give you a close-up. This is the jig, and basically the whole operation of the jig is dependent on this threaded bolt here. You can see this threaded bolt. Essentially, what you do is you unscrew this bolt and you place your board like so, and you retighten the bolt. So now we are in this position. Now I did mention to you when I started video number 2 in this particular series that this jig has got some problem. Let me bring the camera a little bit closer so you get a better view of what I am talking about. The theory of how this jig operates is that when you place it on the board on which you want to drill with the jig and you have tightened this bolt, the clearances, let me make sure that you see what I'm talking about, clearance between the center block and this part of the jig here should be the same with the clearance between the block and this chick over here. At the same time, if I turn this around, again, we need to have a clearance here between the block and this chick, which is equal between the block and this chick over here. And at the same time, all these four clearances must be the same. Why? Because only then this center line here of the center block will be coinciding with the center line of the thickness of the board. And of course, the same applies on this side. The center line of the center block should coincide with the center line of the board. Now, I have the following comments which explain my thoughts about the way this jig was made as well as sold. When I received the jig, basically there was no center line here. This center line was not at all there. There was no center line on the center block here, which is very important. And the same thing applies for the other side of the block and the center line there. In addition, let me just explain to you how you adjust the block, or at least that is the theory of it. Place the block, the jig on a board, you tighten this bolt, and now with your digital vernier caliper you will take your clearance here and then again here, and then you will turn around and you will take the clearance here and the clearance here. And like I said earlier, all these four clearances have got to be the same in order to make sure that this line corresponds with the center line of the board. If they are not, and this is mostly the case, what you will do then is you will have to loosen this hex bolt here and this hex bolt here. By loosening these two hex bolts, you release the pressure on this nut here and you have the opportunity to rotate this nut. By rotating the nut, you are adjusting the clearance here and here and here and here. And of course, if you're taking 4 readings, you are going to record them because you will not be able to remember them. And another point here is that you will take quite a few readings, quite a few sets of readings, until you reach a point where all these 4 readings are as near to each other as possible. I have tried this repeatedly, and I must admit, one time you succeed and most of the times you do not. So this is the unfortunate thing about this jig. I believe that the whole accuracy of how the jig works depends very much on the threads of this bolt here. I would have gone as far as to say that maybe an Acme type thread here would have been preferable and would have provided the accuracy one needs to adjust this jig. Maybe that is expensive, and so on and so on. So fine, that's what it is. Therefore, whilst in theory this is very good, and let me just point out here, you've got 2 drill holes here which accept threaded bushings, one and another one, so you can replace them with a different side bushing. This here and here are just holes. They have no thread, but you can still use them to drill, no question about that. Now, as I said, this system had no center lines scribed when I received it. Therefore, just let me take it apart and show you another point, which is very important. I shall remove these hex bolts because that is important to expose the center. I'm removing the ring, I'm removing this chick, and now I have to remove this hex bolt here. I need another, so I remove the hex key, and basically the next 2 items that you have are a spring and a steel ball. So now I can remove it and you can see the construction of the bolt. Now what I wanted to show you here is these 4 lines, and these are very, very important. Why? Because when you have this in position, you can see the 4 lines here, and therefore you can align these scribed lines with the position on the board where you want to drill. Once you have aligned them, you are where you actually have made your decision to drill. I'll show it to you once again. You can see the 4 lines. There are 2 lines here for the holes with no threads and 2 lines here for the holes with the threaded bushings. I have to scribe these lines. I had to scribe the line here, and I had to scribe the line here as well. And of course, as a matter of course, since I was already doing this work, I scribed the line of the center at the top as well. In my book, this is an omission by the maker which should not have happened in the first place. And it is not for the buyer to start doing this work once the buyer has the jig in his hands, in his possession. Therefore, as far as I am concerned, it is too time consuming to try to get as near as possible that all the clearances between the center block and the 2 chicks are identical. To be very honest with you, I have not managed to produce identical clearances. I have managed to produce clearances which are near to each other, and basically that's as far as I managed to go, so to speak. So replace the steel bolt, replace the spring, and replace the hex bolt here. As you can see, there is a step here, and therefore one has to move this chick a little bit so that it allows the nut to move into the holes. So as you can see now, both chicks are in contact with the center block, and so I am going to put back these 2 hex bolts. At this stage, I am not going to attempt to make any adjustments so that the clearances here and here and here and here are the same. This is very much time consuming, and to be very honest with you, I do not believe that I could achieve the results that I wish to have without spending an awful long time making adjustments. And that is really not what I want to be involved with. Therefore, I'm going to retire this jig, and well, if new thoughts come to my mind, I may revisit at a future time. Having said all this about this jig, I am now going to present you with a jig of really very, very clever construction. This is the jig that I am talking about. Let me give you a better close-up. You can see it from the other side as well, and let me show you the reverse, and you will see here that we have a stopper which, as you can see, it slides back and forth, and what that facilitates is that we know the distance of the edge of the stopper here to the first bushing over here. So let me point it with my pencil so you can have a better view of what is involved. Here is the end of the stopper, and here is the first bushing. You have two additional bushings here, so you can drill 3 holes at the same time. Once with this stopper you have placed the jig in the position you want. However, you do not need always to use this stopper here. You can do it, you can take your measurements as to where these 3 bushings are going to be without the stopper. The general construction of this jig is of anodized aluminum, and immediately you have a look at it, you can see that somebody spent the time to create a very accurate instrument. It's very well made, as you can see, and the working of this jig is based on the principle of parallelogram. When we have a parallelogram like this, where the corners here are 90 degrees, then the maximum stock that you can put here is 6 centimeters. In other words, 60 millimeters. When you go fully closed, you have a minimum clearance of 16 millimeters. The jig also provides 2 holes. You can see them here. Let me point them because they are not very clear. One is here and another one is here. So again, here and here. And on the other side, you will see that, let me open it, it's easier to see when I open it, that here we have holes here and here, and this is where you can place your pencil. You put your pencil in these holes, you place your board like this, and you arrest it by closing the parallelogram like so. And what you can do is you can put the nib of your pencil here and you can move the system back and forth, and then you get a line, obviously, of the half thickness of the board. Let me point it to you. It's here. So this is another ingenious provision as far as this jig is concerned. It is very well made. You can lock here and here, so you can retain whatever position you wish the jig to have, and at the same time, obviously, you can use this, plus the fact that the jig is provided with additional bushings that you can use as you wish. In addition, the jig has been provided with pins. I'm sorry that these pins are very, this plastic bag are very finicky to open. So this is a blind pin of 10 millimeter diameter, and obviously what you do, once you have drilled the hole, you can put this like so, and basically this pin now is your guide, because this pin will go inside the hole that you have drilled and will position the whole jig wherever you wish it. We have 2 more pins of 8 and 6 millimeter diameters, and this is depending on the size of the drill bit that you're using. As far as I am concerned, this is a fantastic idea of a jig. The jig, like I showed you already, will go on the edge of the board. However, you can apply a clamp here and the jig is in position totally immovable. Equally, if your board is with its surface upward, let's say you put the jig like so, you want to drill here, here and here, so you can place a clamp here and you can equally place a clamp on this side, and again your jig is absolutely perfectly steady. No movement whatsoever, therefore it offers complete accuracy. I don't think that I have to tell you anything else about this jig, because it is very easy to see how the jig operates and how accurate it can be. It is a jig that I would mainly use in respect of the edge overboard, including a clamp that clamps both sides together, so it is very firm against the board. However, like I mentioned, you have nothing that stops you from putting the jig flat on the surface of the board and doing your work there. Here is the maximum that you can have your stop, and the stop is calibrated in both metric and imperial units, and that's really all there is to it. And of course, the efficiency of the system is very much dependent on the simplicity of the system. So I would wholeheartedly recommend that one gets hold of one of these and keeps it among the other tools that you have for using dowels and using these bushings to drill with your drill bits, the various sizes of drill bits. I have, this is not part of the system, but it is a calibrated ruler, and therefore it gives me the option to extend the position of the jig on a long, and not only extend it, but having at the same time an accurate measurement. So that brings us to the end of our second video and the presentation of the two jigs. In the next video, I'm going to present to you a system that is, in my opinion, a notch above the rest. But let's not say too much about it now until we move on to the third video. I hope you enjoyed the presentation of the two jigs that I showed you just now, and I hope that you have drawn your own conclusions as to which you might wish to purchase and which you might wish to ignore. Well, we have reached the end of this video. I do hope that you have found my video informative and useful. Thank you very much for taking the time to go through it with me. If you enjoyed my video, please consider liking it and do subscribe to my channel. If you have any points that you wish to raise, or if you have any questions which are connected to this video, please leave them below in the comments. Your comments are valuable to me because I do try to produce videos that are related to the points that I receive from you. Your comments also help me to make better videos. So please keep your comments coming. Stay safe, healthy, and happy. And I hope to see you in my next video.